Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm counting down 15 of my favorite roller coasters that I got to experience for the first time in 2024. Now we're already about 3 months into the 2025 season, and most parks are starting to open up within the next 2 months. So I wanted to make this video just before they all open. Now, there's nothing quite like riding a new coaster for the first time, whether it's a bucket list ride, a surprise favorite, or one that didn't quite live up to the hype. In this video, I'll be breaking down my favorite first-time coaster experiences from this past year, sharing my thoughts and ranking them along the way. But before we get into this list, I have one honorable mention, a coaster I really wanted to ride, but couldn't because it was closed during my visit. Apocalypse the ride at Six Flags Magic Mountain. Hopefully I'll get the chance to check this out next time. Alright, let's get into it, but first, roll the intro. Wonder Woman Flight of Courage kicks things off at number 15. So, we have Wonder Woman Flight of Courage at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This was my second RMC Raptor, and while I had high expectations, I didn't love it as much as I thought I would. The pacing is great, and it has some solid eject area time, but it's just not as intense as I was hoping for. The layout is fun, but it didn't quite live up to the hype for me. At number 14, we have Thunder Striker. Thunder Striker was honestly a pleasant surprise. I love this coaster to death, and it has great airtime, great pacing, a fun layout, and it keeps its speed really well until the end. It may not be the most well known and accepted coaster out there, but it's a fun new credit. Coming in at number 13, we have Raptor at Cedar Point. This ride is just non-stop intensity from start to finish. Every inversion hits hard, and that final helix tries to rip your feet off. It's a classic B&M invert with great pacing and strong forces, making it a solid first-time experience for me. And now, number 12, we have Copperhead Strike at Carowinds. So, I'm gonna be honest, this ride completely caught me off guard. People were saying, oh, it's fine, it's a good coaster, but not the best. But, I mean, this thing was incredible. Launches aren't the most intense, but the hang time and whip and intensity on the inversions and just everything, amazing. The theming is also pretty solid for a Cedar Fair park, well now, Six Flags park, making this a great addition to my new credits. Kumba takes the 11th spot. Kumba at Busch Gardens Tampa. I was honestly really worried for this one. I thought it would be rough, a bit boring, but it surprised me with how well it held up over the years. I don't know how many times this thing has gotten retracked, but it was actually really smooth. And I hope this coaster doesn't get removed in the next few years because I would like to experience it again. And the pacing on this ride is also incredible until the very end when you just have a bunch of filler elements. But if this coaster ends up closing, it would be a major loss for the coaster world. Let's head over to Cedar Point in my home state for Millennium Force. This thing takes the number 10 spot. Now I know this is a bit of a controversial take, but Millennium Force didn't quite blow me away like I hoped. It's fast, it's fun, and the drop was great. But the airtime just wasn't as strong as I expected, and frankly, there is none. Still, it's an iconic Giga coaster that deserves a spot on this list, mainly just because it's a Giga coaster. Can never go wrong with them. Let's head over to California for number 9 for X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This ride is just pure chaos. The seats flipping mid-ride. Wow, dude. That first drop is honestly one of the most unforgettable things I've ever experienced. It was incredible. The crazy visuals are just, wow. Off-ride, on-ride. This coaster is really just a wow. You need to experience it to understand it. But wow, it is definitely not the smoothest ride. I had a bit of a headache the entire day, and my thighs were just destroyed, my shins, just my entire legs, they were battered. So, let's move on, but we're going to stay in the same park. For number 8, it is Tatsu, also at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This is hands down the best and only flying coaster I've been on, but the pretzel loop is one of the most intense elements on any coaster, and probably the most talents element I've been on. I can't think of many off the top of my head, I'm going to be honest, but it is one of my favorite elements. Oh, I'm sorry. But the way this ride interacts with the terrain, it just makes you feel like you're truly soaring over the park. Wow, let's keep the California run going, guys. For number 7, we have Accelerator at Knott's Berry Farm. This ride is short, but absolutely insane. The launch is one of the most powerful things I've ever experienced. I keep saying this, wow. But I do actually love this launch to death. The top hat delivers some great airtime. It may not be the longest coaster, but it left a huge impression on me. Alright, I think this is our last California coaster on this list. Actually, that was a lie. Taking the number 6 spot, we're heading back over to Six Flags Magic Mountain for Twisted Colossus. This was my first time riding a dueling RMC, and also the only one up until now, until YOY opens, if I'm not wrong. But the dueling moments are incredible when they actually happen, and it dueled every single time I rode it, except once actually. But it was an incredible experience. I think the Top Gun stall is amazing, but I don't think this ride really has a amazing sequence of elements. And the lift hill interrupts the pacing a lot. But RMCs are just top tier madness. Lightning Rod is kicking off our top 5 on this list, and Lightning Rod of course is at Dollywood. This thing is just ridiculous. Oh, sorry. Oh, I just was gonna say launch up the lift, even though I never even rode it with a launch. But the lift hill, it's alright. It's not bad. But I don't think the coaster experience is affected, even though I never rode it with a launch. And the airtime moments are just out of control. It may not be the smoothest RMC out there, but it's one of the most intense wooden coasters I've ever ridden. Let's go back to Cedar Point once again for number 4, this being Maverick. This ride is just relentless. Every moment feels like it's trying to throw you out of your seat, and the second launch in the tunnel is one of my favorite launches on any coaster. This thing is pure insanity from start to finish. It's relentless, the inversions are all top tier, and I wish it still had that heartline roll, but with an actual heartline. Now let's start off the top 3 with Steel Vengeance, also at Cedar Point. I had ridiculously high expectations for this ride, and while it didn't quite exceed them, it's still one of the best coasters out there. The airtime is non-stop, the head choppers are insane, and the pacing is relentless. It's easily one of the best coasters ever built, and RMCs ever built. Now at number 2, we are heading back to California for my favorite roller coaster in California. It is Ghost Rider at Knott's Berry Farm. Now, I was not expecting to love this ride as much as I did. This is easily one of my favorite wooden coasters ever. It's fast, long, aggressive, and somehow still super smooth. I don't know when the last time this got a retrack was, but it is an incredible lateral focused ride. It's just elite and one of the best surprises of the year for me. And now, this has been number 1 on almost every single list I've made, but it is Fury 325. This ride just takes my number 1 spot, man. There was just no question this was going to be number 1. The speed, the forces, the ridiculous pacing, this thing is just perfect. The drop alone is one of the best elements, except actually, no. The drop on Fury is probably one of the lower tiered elements out of all the coasters on this list. But I think everything is just amazing on this ride. It's some of the most fun I've ever had on a coaster, so that's why it's in my number 1 spot. This thing is just perfect, and it's just my hands down favorite ride of the year. So, that's my list. What are some of your favorite new coaster credits for 2024? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more coaster content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.